Welcome back to our channel, wonderful friends. Today is a beautiful day to gather around and talk about our favorite daytime dramas. We absolutely love bringing you the latest updates and sharing these moments with our amazing community. I have to tell you, I have been waiting on pins and needles for the grand return of Steve Burton to General Hospital this month, and I know so many of you have been doing the exact same thing. We have all been counting down the days on our calendars, expecting that classic triumphant moment where our favorite hero rides back into Port Charles to save the day. But I must admit, things did not exactly unfold the way any of us expected. When Jason Morgan finally appeared on our television screens, the whole experience felt a little bit underwhelming, and my heart just sank a little. Instead of the strong, invincible man we have known for decades, he looked like a mere shadow of his former self. It was truly a shock to the system to see our beloved Stone Cold looking so incredibly broken down, both in his spirit and in his physical body. For years and years, we have relied on Jason to be the rock of Port Charles. He was always the man who could handle any crisis, tough as nails and completely unbothered by the chaos swirling around him. So, seeing him return from the custody of the WSB in such a fragile state really threw me for a loop. I remember watching that episode and feeling a genuine lump in my throat. He just looked so weary, like a man who had the weight of the entire world pressing down on his shoulders. The spark in his eyes seemed to be completely extinguished, replaced by a hollow, haunted look that honestly made me want to reach right through the television screen and give him a big, comforting hug. It was hard to process that this was the same leather-clad enforcer who used to fearlessly face down mobsters and villains without breaking a single sweat. When the news first broke that the WSB was releasing him, my mind immediately started racing with all the exciting possibilities. I pictured him coming back with a vengeance, ready to reclaim his life and protect the people he loves. But the reality of his arrival was so starkly different. The man who stepped back into town looked like a prisoner of war who had been through unspeakable horrors. His clothes hung off his frame, and his face was drawn and pale. It completely changed the tone of his homecoming. Instead of a joyous celebration, it felt like a somber realization of just how much he had suffered during his time away. I found myself worrying about him not just as a character on a television show, but almost like he was a dear old friend who had fallen on hard times. Naturally, when a beloved actor comes back looking so drastically different, the rumor mill goes into absolute overdrive. I saw so many worried comments from fans all over the internet, and I will admit I had my own moments of concern. People were whispering and wondering if Steve Burton was dealing with some kind of real-life health issue. It is just human nature to worry when someone we care about looks so frail. We have welcomed this man into our living rooms for so many years, and seeing him look so gaunt and haggard really tugged at the heartstrings. I spent days just pondering what could possibly be going on behind the scenes, hoping and praying that our favorite daytime star was actually doing okay in his real life outside the studio. Well, thank goodness we finally got some answers straight from the horse's mouth. Steve Burton and his good buddy Bradford Anderson, who we all know and adore as the quirky Damian Spinelli, recently put out a brand new episode of their wonderful podcast called That Is Awesome. I always love tuning into their show because it feels like you are just sitting in the room with two old friends having a casual chat. It did not take long at all for the conversation to shift toward Jason Morgan's highly anticipated return to the soap opera on that fateful July day. The two of them sat down and graciously addressed all the burning questions and concerns that fans have been throwing their way regarding Jason's startling new appearance. Bradford, bless his heart, always knows how to bring a little bit of levity to a situation. He started poking fun at some of the wild criticisms and completely outlandish rumors that his friend had been receiving online since the big return episode aired. He mentioned that he had been scrolling through the internet and reading some of the most hilarious and bizarre comments from viewers. It is amazing how creative folks can get when they are trying to connect the dots without having all the information. Bradford was just chuckling as he recounted the things people were coming up with, and it really helped to lighten the mood after such a heavy and emotional storyline on the television show. One of the absolute funniest things Bradford brought up was a rumor that had been spreading like wildfire across social media. Apparently, some folks had actually convinced themselves that Steve took time off from the show specifically to go and get plastic surgery on his forehead. Can you even imagine? I had to laugh out loud when I heard that. It just goes to show how quickly a simple change in appearance can spiral into the most ridiculous tall tales. People were analyzing every little line and wrinkle, trying to find some hidden cosmetic procedure, when the truth was actually something entirely different and much more related to his dedication to his craft as an actor. Steve finally set the record straight, and I breathed a massive sigh of relief. He explained that his shocking appearance was entirely intentional and all part of bringing this specific storyline to life. He shared that he made a conscious decision to drop a significant amount of weight so that he could accurately portray a man who had been held captive in terrible conditions. He wanted to look leaner, more drawn, and genuinely gaunt. His goal was to do the hard work of physically transforming his body and then let the incredible makeup department at the studio do the rest of the magic. He wanted viewers to look at him and immediately believe that this was a man who had been locked away for months without proper food, enduring beatings, and surviving absolute misery. Hearing him explain his process just gave me a whole new level of respect for his dedication to his job. He went above and beyond to make sure we, the audience, felt the true weight of what Jason had been through. It is such a comfort to know that the half-dead, completely exhausted look of Stone Cold was nothing more than brilliant acting and some very convincing television makeup. The most wonderful news of all is that Steve Burton is perfectly healthy and doing just fine in his real life. And just to put a bow on the whole silly rumor situation, he definitely did not take a trip to any plastic surgeon to have his forehead stretched out. It is just amazing how a little bit of weight loss and some clever shadows can completely change a person's face. But, you know, as I sat there thinking about all of this, a brand new thought popped into my head, and it honestly gave me goosebumps. What if this drastic change in Jason's appearance is not just about showing us what he suffered in the past, but is actually a massive clue about what he is planning for the future? We all know that Jason Morgan is a master strategist. He is always playing the long game, always thinking 10 steps ahead of everyone else in Port Charles. What if he is intentionally using this weakened, broken down appearance as a way to hide a massive secret? It would be just like him to let his enemies think he is completely defenseless and vulnerable, only to pull the rug out from under them when they least expect it. I truly believe that this current storyline is setting the stage for something absolutely explosive. If Jason is holding on to a dangerous secret, looking like a fragile, beaten down man is the perfect disguise. Nobody is going to view him as an immediate threat if he can barely stand up straight. He is pulling the wool over the eyes of the very people who want to destroy him. This whole situation feels like the calm before a massive storm. I have this strong gut feeling that Jason is quietly putting the pieces of a brilliant master plan together, right under everyone's noses, and his haggard appearance is the ultimate shield to keep folks from looking too closely at what he is really up to. Think about the history of this man. He has survived explosions, gunfights, and being tossed into the freezing harbor. He does not just come back to town and quietly fade into the background. Every single time he has been pushed to the absolute brink, he has bounced back with a level of fierce determination that leaves everyone speechless. I am absolutely convinced that this is one of those times. The writers are cleverly using his physical state to lower our expectations just so they can hit us with a massive shocker down the road. The idea that his frail appearance is actually a calculated move to protect a hidden truth is just the kind of juicy, dramatic twist that keeps me tuning in day after day, year after year. I can already picture the moment when the truth finally comes out. The moment when Jason drops the act, stands up tall, and reveals exactly what he has been plotting all this time. It is going to be one for the history books. I just know it in my bones. All of those folks in Port Charles who are currently pitying him or writing him off are going to be in for the shock of a lifetime. The sheer brilliance of using his own suffering as a weapon against his enemies is classic Stone Cold behavior. It proves that even when his body is battered and bruised, his mind is as sharp and dangerous as it has ever been. This is the kind of storytelling that makes me fall in love with daytime television all over again. So, while it was initially heartbreaking to see our beloved hero looking so incredibly sad and depleted, I am now filled with nothing but excitement and anticipation for what is coming next. Knowing that Steve Burton is healthy and simply acting his heart out makes it so much easier to enjoy the ride. I am going to be watching every single episode with an eagle eye, looking for any little hint or clue about the secret Jason is hiding. I just know that this master plan he is brewing is going to explode in the most spectacular way possible, and I absolutely cannot wait to see it all unfold. Thank you so much for letting me share my thoughts with you today. And I hope you are all just as thrilled for the future of Port Charles as I am.